Ticket to Ride, a really fun game that's super classic, and most people that play it enjoy it. In this video, we're going to go through strategies for how to win, including the pros and cons of each and when to play these strategies. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I've got the game all set up and ready to go. So let's go ahead and start with the first strategy, and that is continuously getting tickets throughout the game. So let's say these are your three options to get started. As you can see, you've got Seattle to Los Angeles. Here's Los Angeles, Seattle. So here's the most direct route. Denver to El Paso, El Paso, Denver. Most direct route right there. Houston to Duluth, sorry for saying that. Houston, Duluth. And what I'm noticing is these cards don't really overlap each other. It's kind of a crappy first draw actually. But the Denver to El Paso and Duluth to Houston can be connected with one road. So I'm going ahead and select both of these. And the goal of this strategy is to get as many cards as possible. So on your next turn, instead of placing or getting trains, you just draw 3 more, and then you decide do any of these line up, and we've got Duluth to El Paso. Well, like I mentioned before, El Paso and Duluth is going to be connected by one road, so this is a great one to grab. Calgary to Salt Lake City, Calgary, it's up there. Those ones aren't very good, so you discard these. And so throughout the game, if you feel comfortable, like you have enough trains, so near the beginning of the game is good, and then midway through the game, as long as you have more than 10 trains, you're usually pretty safe to grab 3 more and see what you can add to your arsenal. There is risk in that every time you draw 3 cards, you have to keep at least 1. Oh, I just barely drew 3 cards, and I'm really hoping that what I have will already be done in these cards, which is pretty frequently happens. Boston to Miami, those aren't very close. Denver to Pittsburgh, I do have Denver here. Pittsburgh here, it would take 6 trains to get here, that might be okay. Los Angeles to New York, however, Los Angeles to New York, not so much. So there is risk that you don't have enough trains or you're not able to complete those tickets. So let's keep this one here, Denver to Pittsburgh. Let's stack these up so we know that they're finished. Denver to Pittsburgh. Now I could immediately just start building right here, or as part of the strategy, get 3 more and look at them. St. Mary to Oklahoma City. Here's Oklahoma City, we're already on, and then it would have to be up here. So 3, so put 3 to the side. This one we have, this one that we still have to deal with, 6, so 6. So that one's totally doable. This strategy, that's kind of difficult, and it's risky. You might end up drawing 3 cards and you can't complete any of them, at which point you just take the lowest card and take the loss. That would probably really suck, but that is a con of this game. A pro though is you might pick up a ticket that's already completed, or you might pick up a ticket that just is 2 cards away from being completed. And so you have the opportunity to get all of these bonus points, which can be really beneficial for you. When should you do this strategy? The best rule of thumb, I'd say, is if you have at least 10 cards left, then you're probably good to do it. If you have less than 10 though, you risk not being able to complete that ticket. 10 is just a good rule of thumb because once you're on the board, it's usually within 7 to 10 railroad pieces away. And then all that is left for you to figure out is getting those actual cards. So have at least 10 pieces left. If you want to be extra conservative, stop at 20 cards left. Like, that's really conservative and probably not the best for this strategy. 10 is probably better, but that is for when you should do this, near the beginning, middle of the game. Avoid at the end. If you only have 4 cards or 4 train carts things, you're probably not going to be able to complete most of the tickets in the pile anyway. So it's more risk than it is value. So for the next part of the strategy is a defensive strategy, and I don't do this strategy very much because I'm more of an offensive player, but if you want to try out a defensive play, what you can do is your very first move, or close to your first move, is you get your cards. Wow, look at that, I got 3 blues. And you just immediately play a train and put it down on one of the, or you can play 2 trains and put it down on a 2-piece. And you just find a commonly used in route. So for example, Portland to Seattle, there are a lot of routes that use Seattle as a waypoint. And if you block off this way to get from here to here or here to here, they have to go way out and around to be able to complete their tickets. So it can be a super damaging strategy. Another defensive strategy is by noticing what other players are taking. And if, for example, blue has been taking a lot of pinks, if I see pink, I'm gonna take pink and put it in my cards. The pro of this strategy is you might minimize their use of pinks. Like if they are trying to get pink and you take the pink before they can, you're more likely to win or to prevent them from being able to do that. A con of this is you're focusing on someone else's gameplay instead of your own, which can take away from you getting points, and you might actually not get through enough cards. So just keep that in mind. But it is a really heavily played game or strategy, so try it out. The next strategy is focusing on just building large roads. So when you are first presented your 3 cards, you look at the 3 cards to see which tickets you want to get, and you just pick the one with the least amount on it. And you don't look at this again. It's a negative card at the end because you're unlikely to have finished the route, but this is a negative 8 points. Your gameplay for this strategy is you just draw 2 cards from the face down deck each turn. Keep in mind that if you have 12 white, there's only one route that's 6 white, and then everything else is 5. You've got 2 5 routes. So there's no need to like hold on to the white cards as you keep going. Basically, you hold on to the cards and hope that no one else lays down on those trains. If you notice someone's gathering a lot of white, then play your train and lay down your 6 cards for getting that train route. This will get you 15 points for just laying down. In other words, your negative 8 points has already been taken care of in 1 move. Also, because of this strategy, you're able to just draw from this pile more. You're more likely to get wild cards as well. And if you are doing this strategy, I would recommend just holding all the cards in your hand. Like you can organize them, but I would just kind of keep them under the table. Most people are like, wow, Sarah doesn't have any trains on the board yet. And so when I play my first train, I go like, woohoo, I finally have 1 train on the board. You know, and I like play it up a lot. But, and that just makes people feel like maybe you just don't know what you're doing, which is definitely a pro because then they are less likely to interrupt your game. But also, let's say you just so happen to do this green and yellow one. Someone might go, oh, she looks like she's building a route here. I'm gonna go ahead and waste 2 of my cards on one of these in hopes that I'm blocking her. So you can, and it doesn't hurt you at all that they put those 2 pieces there because all you're looking at is laying down. And notice in this one, I've got 15 points from this route and 10 points from this route, 25 points in 2 turns. So it's pretty easy to rack up a lot of points. And with just a few 6 routes and a couple of 5 routes, you can be over 100 points easy. Okay, the next strategy is probably the most common, and it has to do with this card right here, the longest road. And essentially, when you're choosing your cards, try and find cards that are further away. So for example, okay, you've got the Seattle to New York. It's gonna take you a long way to get to Seattle to New York. So you can grab this card, and instead of doing this direct route, you can go around if you want, is really popular, or above, and just get the longest route. And with that though, a lot of times you have the opportunity to grab more cards, and because your road is so long, if you have the trains for it, you can just add a couple more pieces to reach extra locations. So it's an extra 10 points. That's not too difficult to get. But also keep in mind, you can get 10 points from laying down 5 cards right here. Or you can get 15 from laying down 6. So there's a pro of this is it's an extra 10 points. It's not that difficult to get. Unless someone else is going for that strategy, then it is kind of more difficult because then you're competing with them. But a con of this would be you are dependent on being able to get the cards that you need. So there's no way you can get the longest road and avoid these really long paths that may require a lot of black or may require a lot of pink, and unfortunately you don't have those. So just keep that in mind. But other than that, it's a really easy strategy to implement, and you probably have a lot of fun with it. Okay, next strategy is more like a tip, and that is don't give away your secrets. If you've got a route that's from Los Angeles to Miami, instead of doing it in a row where you're clearly doing like, okay, going this way, and then you go this way, someone can look at this and go like, okay, and they may try to block you. You've got this long line, and obviously it looks pretty obvious that you want to connect those two. It's going to be really easy for another player to block you. This strategy is more like a tip in that don't make it this obvious. Maybe add a road on either side, and then maybe work on a different route that you're working on, and then come back and do this 4 or do a 2 right there, so it's harder for people to block you, because it would be a lot harder for someone to come up with 6 green than it would be for them to come up with 2 of any kind. Keep your secrets as safe as you can by not being as obvious. So those are my top tips or strategies for Ticket to Ride. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have another strategy that you love, please include it in the comments below. I'd love to see it, but I know everyone watching this video would probably be interested as well. And please check out my channel and subscribe. I do strategy videos like this for a bunch of games, how-to videos and reviews, so check it out. And as usual, enjoy playing and have fun. Ticket to Ride, the game where you are the ultimate train builder, and it is your goal to have the most trains, mostly. So wow, that's one way of explaining this game.